Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the video. This is one of those filter combinations I've been thinking of for a little while, and it's pretty much just waiting for a good opportunity to give it a try. And now that I'm working on the 7-foot tank, I think its time has come. It combines two really good filters, that is a box filter and also a high humidity planter. Now, the downside of this style filter is it has certain conditions that needs to be met for it. First off, the water can't be too deep, and the other is that the tank has to have a fair amount of space above it, and the 7-foot tank fits these really nicely. And also, while I'm working on the rest of the filtration system for that tank, the other things I've been already talking about, this is going to be a good filter just to carry a bit of the load while all that other stuff is happening. Now, besides having certain conditions as far as the aquarium goes, the other problem with this style is how do you figure out how to have the water flow through the filter? That's the thing that I'm kind of troubling with a little bit at the moment. My solution was, instead of having the box filter holes be at the top or at the bottom, as I've done traditionally with these, I'm going to have them come here. As you can see, I am drilling holes. This is the side of the filter. The part towards the right of the camera now is the bottom, and this is pretty much 2/3 to 3/4 of the way up the filter. And this is where the water is going to go into the filter, and then it is going to go down through the traditional box filter media, which is going to be, in this case, a sponge, and then down through some gravel. And that is pretty much not, it doesn't really change at all. That is pretty much how I run a lot of box filters. Now, once it goes down through that media, it is going to go up through the lift stack, and at that point, it has to have a different path than just coming out here. So what I'm going to do is, this is one side, so if you imagine, this will be a lot easier as this progresses. Turn the filter 90 degrees, and that is how the water is going to escape the filter. So it's going to go up to the top. There's going to be the traditional high humidity planter setup. There's going to be an acrylic chamber there with a pipe up through the middle of it, and there's going to be gravel in that. And as the water bubbles up, it's going to go through a bunch of plants, the usual. It'll be Java moss and Java fern, and probably a couple others later on. And there's going to be gravel there as well. And then there's going to be a section there that's going to be removed from one side. That's going to allow that water that's going to accumulate to leave. And that's my solution, really, to making sure that you're not just churning the same water over and over again, that there is actually a bit of change in the flow rate. And you'll see as of this, well, actually when this thing is hooked up, it actually works quite nicely, which is excellent, because that's what I want. So these are going to be the base plates. I need 3. And the bottom one is going to be the friction fit one, and that is where the standpipe is going to sit in. And then the 2 trays above that, one's going to be for the sponge, and one's going to be for where the high humidity planter is going to be, and those are going to be larger diameter. So what I've done here is I started off with all 3 of them. The first one, I drilled a hole slightly slightly smaller than the 1 inch, and then I moved up to 1 inch. And then I kept that drill bit there, drilled at the 1 inch ones, and then swapped it out for the 1 1/16. So that gives me a little bit of freedom there that allows me to have the standpipe rest quite firmly in the bottom, as I've done for all the other ones. And then these will be able to slide down over them, and I can pull them out and replace them, clean them, whatever, without really disturbing the filter too much, which is going to be kind of important with this one, because as those plants grow, and develop, I don't really want to disturb them a lot when let's say I have to clean the sponge. So it has to have a nice easy way of removing it, and then of course not disturb all that. So that's really kind of neat that it is happening now, because I really do like having, if you remember from the last few box filter builds I've done, the 2-stage ones, I have that larger diameter acrylic tubing that I put in just around the hole, the main hole. It makes it so simple to pull this in and out, and makes this actually possible. So I've made one mistake right here, and that is, you can see there's all 3 of the plates are there. That's perfectly fine for the bottom base plate and for the middle one. But the top one, if I had used that base plate, the one with all the holes in it, all that's going to happen is this water is going to percolate out and then go right back down on top of where all the water is coming in through those holes you see. And then I'm not going to get that exchange. So I am going to swap that plate out for one that's solid. You'll see it in the final build for this. Now I built the main box for this off camera, mostly because, well, this video will get really long. It's already going to be almost 12 minutes. And it's also quite straightforward. It's just a box. This is the one where it's a little bit different, of course. Normally what I do for base plates is I have the sides resting on top of the bottom. But I'm going to build this a little bit like I'd build aquariums. That is, the base plate is going to be floating up. And that gives me that bit of space in the bottom. And also the thing I want to be most, I want to have on my mind here is I'm trying to limit any chance for water to go on a different path than the path I wanted to go on. So this is going to have 4 sides that are going to go straight down to the bottom. So the only way water can get out of this once it has gone down through the media is up through the central pipe. So that's part of the reason for doing it this way. Now, the plate that's going to go above this one, I could have switched it over to having the plate on the bottom. It actually will be resting right on, if I turn this up, it will be right on the wood. But I left it on the inside simply because all of the sides for all the 3 pieces, actually all the 4 pieces by the end of it, have to match up. That way, there's no way that water can seep through, at least not a fair amount of it. So I'm not going to show you all of the welding here because it is pretty much the same as always. But I just wanted to show you this one here because that is the bottom box. And it came together quite well. There wasn't really anything different about it or the one on the top. The hardest one is going to be the one for welding, when I weld up the plate where the high humidity plants and all that part's going to fit, because I had to change up how I was going to do that. So that's this here. You can see now I've changed I've changed over that plate. It now no longer has holes in it. It was easy to swap out, just a matter of cutting one and drilling a center hole. I will use that other base plate. You can just see it at the top of the screen there. So this is going to be one side of it, and this is the side that's going to be over the holes that I've drilled in the side of the box filter. And this, sorry, actually I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm going to put one more of these on here. But you'll see that off right behind my hand, where you can't see them right now, those plates there are going to be the other 2 sides, and that is going to give me that bit of gap. You can see here in a second when I get the peeling off of this. When I flip it over, there you go. So this is going to sit like this, and there's going to be another one on the other side. So when this sits down in the box filter over that standpipe in the middle, it is going to give a nice gap, and that gap is going to be where the holes on both sides of the box filter are going to sit. So the water can go in through this quite easily, then it'll go down through the media, and then of course up through the standpipe, and then it'll bubble into this thing, which is going to be the chamber where the gravel, Java moss, and Java fern are going to be. And that's pretty much, like I said, how I got around the tricky issues of water regulation for this. It is going to have to run, obviously, for a little while and see how it all does. I've never had any issues with high humidity planters. They've all done, more than I've actually expected, so that's really kind of nice. But again, you never know. This is going to be smaller than a lot of them, and when you start making things a little bit smaller, sometimes they don't work as well. And that is probably probably the biggest aspect of this filter that is a change. Trying to get the piece of protective film off there. One thing when you peel these off, it becomes really full of static and you can't get little teeny pieces out. It's really kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm going to flip this over, I'm going to glue on the last one, and then it's just a simple matter of getting this all set up. And I'm going to use gravel. I was thinking about putting in some coral instead. I may switch that out. I haven't decided, but there's a bunch of stuff I needed to do on the day that I was doing this, so I just grabbed some gravel, put in a sponge. The sponge will stay because that way I don't have to switch this out very often. I don't want to have like polywool, which gets dirty more quickly, and then have to do a lot of cleaning of that. This will just be a little less of a mechanical filter, but it should be a really good biological filter, which is the more important aspect of this. So the rest of it I did off camera, but as you can see, there's the bottom one, the middle one where the sponge is going to be, the top one where the plants are going to go, and then on the very top, the cap, you can see just now to, of course you can't see it right now, but when I pan up a little bit, you'll see the holes where the water, or sorry, the slit where the water will come back out, right there. So there it all fits together. You can see the holes where the water goes in, and I'm going to fill this sucker up and going to get it running. And there'll be updates on this on Sunday vlogs, but this is pretty much it for the moment. And here you go. Filled with gravel, sponge, a little bit of gravel on the top, high humidity planter with some Java fern and moss, and that's it. Definitely let me know what you think in the comments section below. I think this filter has potential. It does have obviously some restrictions on where it can go and what it can do, and it may be a filter that's a little bit too small for a high humidity planter to be doing anything really significant, but time will tell, so we'll see how that all goes. So thanks again for watching. I do really appreciate you guys coming by, and let me know what you think below, and thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.